drop of a hat, Sneha signals that let's get together. We need to discuss this issue again, and we are all here speaking to each other, learning more from each other, and doing our best. That's the power of technology. And I can't start any of the deliberations on hyperglycemia in pregnancy without my uh, salute to Professor Sheshaya, because it was only because I fought with him very, very bitterly. No, sir, how? And lots of questions I raised as to how we, as women's healthcare specialists, can get into the forte of diabetologists. How can we make this complex situation a little bit more simpler to our minds? And step by step, the guidance and the inspiration that we received from this great man is always to be cherished and remembered. And therefore, his birthday on the 10th of March, grandly celebrated as the GDM Awareness Day by many, many mothers and children who are living today and healthy because of the initiatives that he has taken. Coming to, can we do better than what we always, the pursuit of excellence is, we make excuses that we have our limitations. We know our country is very diverse. We know the last mile is hard to reach. We know this, that, and the other, that multi-speciality is a dream for many small and middle-sized nursing home owners. Can Femtech help us manage GDM better? So the Femtech revolution, which is the digital innovation in women's healthcare space, reaching every girl, every woman, that's the dream. And we need to reach so many women, because just look at 6 out of 10 having anemia, 7 out of 10 facing diabetes, hypertension. The numbers are mind-boggling. And if we really, like feet on street, you go everywhere, that's not going to be either for awareness or for advice. It's going to be a most nightmarish challenge, if you may ask me. As it is, the access, affordability, and the quality of care, poor things are coming from such distances, queuing up here, and within 4 hours, the outpatient schedule has to get over because the same consultant has to run for many more things in our own setup. 2 minutes that this patient gets, whether which part we are seeing and what we are advising her, it's just such a huge challenge. And these numbers, these pictures speak for themselves. So the best and the only one-to-one way, maybe even in an anonymous and a virtual way, the last mile could be reached by the technology. So Femtech, what is it all about? We had a state meet in Karnataka, in Bijapur, led by Dr. Vidya Tope, and we said, we'll do a survey with the OBGYNs. And 56% of them said, Femtech? What is it? We've never heard of it. But the simple thing is that it is technology for women's health. That is Femtech. The word was coined by Ida, who introduced the first app for menstrual cycle tracking called the Clue. And many OBGYNs, as in all of us, also believe that health tech will be the future. Are women using it? Oh, yes. Whether it's a movie ticket or the Make My Trip or the hotel bookings or the apparels or the online shopping, for anything and everything, it's the technology. But are we using it enough as healthcare providers to connect with our patients and to do a lot many more things that it has a potential to? Maybe, and we are slowly getting there, but not quite. Only 1/10 of the respondents said that they're actually using these tools. So recently, Professor Hood and the current FIGO president and Kiera Michael Gary and myself put up this article on the Femtech revolution, which is a new approach to pregnancy management by digital transformation. This is published in the International Journal of ONG, where also the surveys within our own country by major IT segment like Accenture, etc., have said that physicians are not promoting the digital engagement enough. They have a barrier in their mind, a setback, that nothing can match the touch and feel. Just like how we started with the single-step non-fasting test, where we recognized that the fasting and 4 pricks in the same women was not easy to do in the far-to-reach areas in our own country. So our own Indian jugaad, as how it started, landed up in a single step, which the world is accepting now. The same way, yes, touch and feel is important, But the single step test is a proof that something is better than nothing, and it turned out to be a real good thing. The same way where women, anyways, cannot have the multi-speciality care or reach the specialists from remote areas, when something is better than nothing, then you can't bask on your glory of the physical meeting and touch and feel. There could always be a hybrid version where you can use the technology to its best. Again, knowledge, attitude, and practices of specialist healthcare providers on femtech. This was our cross-sectional study, which was published in the ACTA recently. This is how the digital India is. You go to any roadside vendor also, you will have a QR code and you can do a digital transaction. Everybody and anybody almost is using the mobile phones, and we have more than thousands in millions of mobile users. So when we say your health is in your hands, we literally mean that, because everything can be guided through the mobile. So the future of women's healthcare, as how you see in this FIGO wellness wheel, two concepts we want to drive home. One is the concept of the wellness across life course. Don't leave everything to the pregnancy stage. There is a phase of her life, pre-pregnancy and beyond pregnancy as well. Prepare her always for the next phase of her life. Anemia, yes, you could have cared for her before pregnancy or in adolescence. You want to now quick fix only when she gets pregnant. That is the target that we get, but we should work towards integrating the healthcare at every touch points. If she comes for any reason, if she comes for anemia, also inquire about heavy menstrual bleeding. If she's of the right age group, also ask about HPV vaccine. So don't lose an opportunity to do the best. So that is one concept we are driving on the FIGO Wellness Wheels, which is the Wellness on Wheels, which we showcased at the Paris Congress, and the future of women's healthcare through technology. And India is leading the way by leaps and bounds through the technological developments which nobody else in the world would have imagined that we would leapfrog to that extent and use it so extensively in every nook and corner of our country. The COVID came to our rescue with the telemed being out of necessity quickly accepted by the healthcare providers. So now what better can we do in the GDM management? The variables, the planning of scheduling of appointments, the travel time decrease, the remote distance, the reaching the unreached, also can consult an online doctor. They can take second opinions. They can do anything and everything on the digital platform. The main role in gestational diabetes is the use of remote monitoring device, the glucose tracking apps, and the personalized dietary and exercise plan. This picture, actually, I go back there because you can see that in the villages we have established called our health centers, where these whom you see there are called the Swasthya Sakhis. All that they need to do is one prick for checking the glucose level, the HemoQ they use for hemoglobin, digital BP apparatus, and the weighing scale for the BMI. So all this is doable by anybody who is semi-skilled, and they can connect to us with all the readings and make the patient speak to us on the video, including the promotion and support from the providers to encourage the uptake of all of these is the need of the hour. That is why we are seeding the thoughts of, guys, the technology is right around you. Open up your mind to start using it more often than you have already been doing. The devices which are likely to now come, Picky has already alluded to it. The Visme is another device which we have been speaking about it since a year. It's ripe and ready to be imported into India from Israel. It's just like a bangle where the 24-hour non-invasive glucose monitoring can be done. So the recording and the availability of data on the Bluetooth can immensely help the guiding physician to do better than the best. Similarly, we all grumble that though the diet consultation and counseling is important, somehow it is pushed under the carpet. We have to take a dietary recall, we have to guide her, but how to do it in the shortest possible time that is available to us? By the time she looks up and down at the floor and starts telling you what she eats for breakfast, what for lunch, etc., all this can easily be filled into the Google form, for example. And also, somebody else can do it. The task shifting, which we do in Manyata, the frontline healthcare providers, your assistants, your staff nurses, and in local languages also this is available. So that is what they would take as the daily recall. So by the time she comes to you, you know what she's eating is right or not. A FIGO nutrition checklist, which is a very, very, very simple checklist, which just checks whether you're vegetarian or non-vegetarian, because that's the starting point for many of the other questions that you would ask. Height, weight, and BMI, that's on the first page. And then the dietary groups, the frequency, and the portion size. With this, it just takes 2 to 5 minutes to do this exercise of the checkbox of the FIGO nutrition checklist. Glaring gaps will be available to you within the 5 minutes after doing this. Again, I bring to your notice, it can be done by anybody else in your setup, but the information is available to you to guide the patient further. When we did this study, again, implementing the FIGO guidelines in the low middle income countries, such as India, it was a multicentric study where many people said it's very, very easy to use. And were they using any kind of dietary history and recall before the simple tool was introduced? Yeah, sometimes maybe this, that, very mixed answers were there. What next after that? Again, the time saving will be to refer her to the apps after explaining to her the principles of the portion size, the frequent meals, the less carbohydrates, no bakery and sweet items, and high protein. With this understanding, she will be able to, most of them, even then, another 10 years, it's going to be even easier because they will figure out for themselves what to do. And there's also many literature support and reviews that even the dietitians are now leaning more on the apps because of the individualized guidance that they can give. Another important reason, we think that we can coolly announce that she has high sugars in pregnancy, but the kind of stress that it causes her, the anxiety that it provokes, and she has nowhere to go, there again, the technology and the apps help. We have instituted a course by the Health Sector Skill Council for the mental health and well-being, because there's a huge demand for this course for their back-end employment by the app makers. So any of one of your staff gets into this course, gets a certification by HSSC, she takes the calls through the app, which is guided to her, 200 rupees per call. Her livelihood and incentive is also done, and she knows her limitations. She at least checks the initial issues and then flags it to the consultant. So this is again in an anonymous and confidential way. In their own language, the patients can be tackled, because we need not be the ones to do it all, but we can make this available through technology to each and every patient of ours. The hybrid perinatal clinic is our concept, which we are really, really toying, that many of the Digi Swasthya clinics should be the dream come to reality in clusters of 20 villages in many, many districts. At the block level, the Swasthya ambassadors need to go and check for the best that they can do. Wearables act as an additional layer of vigilance, complementing the prenatal care and enhancing the overall quality of maternal care. At the moment, things may not be very affordable, but the volumes are increasing. Anybody and everybody thinks the television and the mobile is much of a priority than anything else that they own. So slowly it is coming into the picture. And these fetuses will require repeated monitoring. Just if you can imagine that the CTG has to be done twice a week, and the big machines that we typically have can be replaced by the small device called the baby beat. What we do at our hospital is to rent it out to the patient, because then she need not come, as frequently as we would want her to come. We teach her how to use it. It just takes 2 minutes to teach, and there are no wires, no nothing. She has to just place it anywhere on the abdomen. IVF patients, the patients with high sugars, high blood pressure, those who require the monitoring, those who are super anxious and complain of less movements, etc., they will do this on alternate days, send us the reports like this by the Bluetooth. We just have to give them a thumbs up and they're reassured that all is well. If it's not, then we tell them that that's the time that they have to visit us. So even this is published, and the real-time monitoring of the fetus reduces the neonatal asphyxia and the healthcare costs definitely, and allays the anxiety. There are many devices which are now available. Piramal Swasthya and Japago are on a major initiative where the femtech applications, devices integrated directly attached to the child newborn's clothes, which give a lot of information on the parameters such as heart rate, temperature, sleep patterns, etc. So to implement all of these recommendations, first we have to change the mindset. It is doable, it is scalable, it can reach a lot. You will get the patients earlier on without complications so that you can do better than what you've always been doing. Patients feel reassured that you are constantly engaging them. The collaboration between the providers and the tech developers need to be strong because we need to pitch for what we need from the technology. Lot of technology is available, but the healthcare providers have to give the guidance about what we need. Education and training for healthcare professionals, which beyond doubt the flagship program of Poxy Manyata has proven. And there are many, many champions right here who will endorse that. The barriers of diverse diagnostic criteria bypassed with the outline that Piki has given. Absence of self-compliance. Now you can keep on hounding her on repeated SMS messages, WhatsApp messages, alarms, etc., that she needs to be more vigilant about herself and the baby. The lack of resources and trained medical staff. Yes, we have figured our way around that. We have immense experience in training all levels of healthcare providers in their own languages in a 90-minute digital program. It is not a rocket science. They pay a lot of attention and they're hyper enthusiastic to learn and be confident and competent to do better. That is how the Manyata training across 3,500 hospitals. Now we've started individual trainings, not only on assistant to maternal newborn, breastfeeding and lactation skill assistant, the GDM course, the mental illness, and the Matra Sakhi and the Swasthya Sakhi courses for the wellness ambassadors. You will see all these in their own homes. Again, the mobile technology, helping them learn, helping them give their online exams and do the best they can in their own community. So the patient-centric telehealthcare solutions, the e-Sanjeevani, which is promoted by the government, but we need to be stronger in that space too. OPD, NCD care, elder care, women and child care, pre-postnatal care, home care, everything with multiple collaborations that we have through our skill academy. I think the time has come for the femtech to move the needle forward for the better care. Last bit of the warning is that, yes, there are AI-powered solution, wearable devices, etc., but each of those equipment needs to be validated, because if it starts triggering a wrong signal at the wrong time, then you'll be totally misled. But there are very strict regulatory controls, and these instruments are not licensed unless they're validated, even in the Indian context. And so we are a bit safe on that count, but make sure that whenever you next think of using a technology-driven device, the FDA approvals, the government regulatory methodologies which ensure a foolproof validation and the use of these with a very narrow error margin is indeed the way forward. Many, many things to be done. We have exciting times ahead, and we will together ensure that the SDG Goal 3, good health and well-being for all, should be a dream come true to all of us who are championing the cause of women's health. Thank you very much for your kind attention.